And for far too long I felt those things and I just wrote them off as me being a little whiny bitch. So I want to get a bit serious today. Well, at least talk about a serious topic. We don't need to get all depressed and sound like the world is gonna swallow us and talk like this and look like this while talking about the subject. So let's try and at least have a little bit of fun and smile while we talk about this. So a couple of months ago I made a video about depression, and I'll put the link somewhere around here if you're interested in having a look at that video. The video actually ended up trending in Canada, and I was really amazed by the amazing feedback and comments and everything I received about the video, which kind of made me want to do a bit of a series about this specific topic. And while it's been a bit of a while, I've decided to do just that. Now before we continue, I do just need to mention a few things. Now the first thing is that I do suffer from depression, but a little bit more on that later. I have some experience in the matter, and while I'm no expert in the field, I do however want to share my experiences and how I dealt with it. And hopefully I help you, even if it's just you. So my depression started when I was a young kid. Now I'm not quite sure exactly how, when, what it all started. However, I always knew that there was something that's a bit fucked up. And so I went to a few psychologists. However, none of them actually kind of diagnosed me. Well, not until 2015 at least. In 2015, that's when my shift happened. And 2015 was a tough year for me. Our family lost my cousin, my grandmother. I was in a very shitty relationship. I was diagnosed with depression and I was sent for observation due to that. Now when that happened, I literally thought that my life was over. Sitting there listening to the psychologist telling me that I have depression literally felt like my soul was being destroyed. I thought my life was over. I mean, what was I going to do for the rest of my life? What was my life going to be like? And so the healing process started. I researched, started working on myself. And while it's been a long and tough road for me ever since that day, I'm still growing and I'm still learning every single day. Now the biggest thing for me personally was just accepting it, making peace with it. No, really, just hear me out. I don't think most people understand the power of this. When you make peace with it, when you start accepting it as part of who you are, things become a little bit easier. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't take it away, but you just cope better. And trust me, it doesn't mean that your life is over. In fact, since that day, my life has completely changed. For the better. I started my own company, I started seeing the world, I stopped worrying about bullshit, started becoming more spiritual, and so on and so on. And of course there are quite a few other things that I'm still working on. I mean, it's a process, however that's a topic for another day. So what I do want to talk to you about today is some of the things that you need to look out for when it comes to something like depression. You know, the symptoms and shit. I do need you to understand though that symptoms aren't necessarily the be all and end all. Symptoms are quite dangerous. Don't go and Google symptoms because you probably will get depressed. So my point is that sometimes we just feel fucking down. It is what it is. However, when that down feeling is non-stop, for instance, Houston, we have a problem. And just remember that there is a difference between feeling depressed versus having depression. So let's get into it. Symptom number 1. And for this particular symptom, I'll combine quite a few which kind of are the same thing. So this symptom is persistent sadness, anxiousness, empty moods, feelings of hopelessness, pessimism, feelings of guilt, worthlessness, and helplessness. Now again, a lot of people go through weeks, days, months where they feel some of what I just mentioned. However, if these feelings are constant, nagging, non-stop, get help. And for far too long I felt those things and I just wrote them off as me being a little whiny bitch. Don't be me. These feelings can be deliberating. They could cause things like procrastination, and ultimately it will start dragging you down in every aspect of your life. So please get it checked out. The second symptom, decreased energy, fatigue, or feeling slowed down. Now this one can be tricky though. Feeling low on energy or fatigued may be due to bad nutrition. Things like not eating healthy or not drinking enough water. In my case particularly, I don't drink enough water. So that sucks. And yeah, I end up feeling shit. Simple. So in saying that, if you're a healthy person, your nutrition is on point, you still feel like shit, maybe get your ass to a doctor. Now I just need to mention something that's kind of contradictory to what I just said now, because in some cases, some people have an increase in energy. And ironically, when depressed people have made a decision to do something drastic, like killing themselves, they may go from lackadaisical and slow down to being energetic. And that's because they feel a sense of relief because they've kind of come to a resolution. So if you notice any drastic switches like that in both yourself or someone else, you should be very concerned. The third symptom, difficulty concentrating, remembering, or making decisions. Now again, this could be due to nutrition or being dehydrated. However, if you're generally a happy person living a healthy lifestyle and you struggle with this symptom, the chances are that there might be something else you need to look at. Again, make that appointment. Symptom number 4, insomnia, early morning awakening, or oversleeping. Despite being slower in demeanor and motivation, depressed people often lay awake at night, unable to sleep. On the other hand, however, some depressed people may find it difficult to even get out of bed and may sleep for long periods during the day. This is something that actually happens quite a bit, so do look out for that. Number 5, things like appetite. Either eating too much, gaining weight, or not eating at all. So for some people, they tend to overeat when they get depressed and anxious, but in people with severe depression, the opposite's usually true. So a depressed person might stop eating completely because they're just not worried about their own personal well-being anymore. Disregard for personal hygiene is also cause for concern. So if you start stinking up the place, drag your ass through a bath and get yourself to a doctor. Number 6, loss of interest in favorite activities, including sex. So some people turn to hobbies like exercising or fishing or golf or whatever the case is when they start feeling crappy. But people with major depression tend to avoid them. So if a person who enjoyed spending time with her grandchildren suddenly doesn't want to see them, or a guy who loves to fish suddenly hangs up his rods, it's a red flag. Number 7, touchiness or irritability. In some people, depression manifests in things like being irritated or being impatient rather than feeling down. If that's you, you know what to do. So the last symptom is symptom number 8, thoughts of death, suicide, or even attempted suicide. Now I've saved this one for last as this is the mother of all symptoms. There just isn't a nice way to say this. If you start thinking about how you can kill yourself, so if that's you, stop watching this video and get your ass to a doctor as soon as fucking possible. I'm serious. Now don't get me wrong here, these 8 symptoms are but a few, however they are some of the more serious ones to kind of look out for. Now I make these videos because I know how hard it is and how shit it is to live with something like depression. It's no walk in the park, and if I can help just one person through all of this, it makes it all worth it. And as always, I'm Rue, and remember, your life is important. Don't be another statistic. So if you think that you or any of your friends, families or colleagues suffer from depression, do something about it. Don't wait until it's too late. You are worth it. Peace.